Yo, hello.
Hey, hey, what's going on?
Uh, Pancake.
I was like, did you say pancakes? You did. Where in the world are you? Literally, where in the world are you?
Wait. Uh, Sorry, trying to figure out the. I'm in west coast of Thailand.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah, uh, just above Phuket.
Just because.
Yeah, I'm skating from. It's kind of escalated, but essentially Bangkok to Singapore.
Did you say skating?
Mm-hmm.
So like you're just out there floating
Rollerblade.
around.
Yeah, just completely out there.
Okay. Okay. How are you managing that?
It's going really well.
Okay.
Like I originally just wanted to meet a friend in Phuket, like the island, like Phuket, it's like in the south,
Okay.
and got a flight to Bangkok. And I was okay. This is a very popular cycle touring route, so people do it on bikes all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay, it's very flat. Why not rollerblade it? So I've been doing that, and it's been going like the scenery, the food, the roads themselves are just incredible. And
That
so
is wild.
I've just decided to keep it going.
Whatever works. Hey, hey.
Yeah, pretty much
All right.
like it was like,
Hi.
oh, hey,
How's it
Ashley.
going?
Sorry. Good.
Yeah. So Frip's in Thailand.
Oh, dope. What part?
Just north of Phuket.
Oh, very cool.
Uh, yeah, gonna meet a friend there Thursday. Got like
Nice. Are you traveling or just
60 miles to go.
living?
Mhm. Rollerblading, rollerblading. Although,
Very cool.
oh,
All right. Okay.
I got a
Good,
massive plate of waffles right in front of me. To
good
try
for
to
you.
get through this
Good
Yeah.
for you.
before
I was
we.
like, what's going on? He was like waffles, and I was like, what?
Yeah. Half the time
Yeah,
I will
no,
I'll,
I need
I'll
the
come in
calories.
and log on and turn my camera off. Half of last season because I come from work and it's 6:30 here for me, right? And so I'll come home, shove dinner, and then sit down. And so I'll be like, "Hey guys," and I'll be here. I'm ready when you are. And I just turn my camera off and just shove whatever my husband made in my face. Ooh, that looks good. Okay, I gotta get this out of here. Look how big Jordan Morris is, Reed.
He is huge.
Big. A big guy. All right, come on, you gotta go. If you can't be a good podcast dog, you don't get to stay. You gotta go. Come on, I'll take you.
Man, I wish I had my laptop because I have like an old hard drive, and there's a folder that just says FMLS, and it's screenshots, it's stuff from like 2012. I want to say 2011, possibly. I'm not sure how far back it goes. 2012 or 2011. Like back when it was still, was it Chatango?
Yeah, Chat Tango. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man, I got some screenshots from that, but I don't have access to it unfortunately.
But whenever you get back, whenever that may be.
Yeah.
Soon,
I
soon,
was
soon, soon.
talking to Spencer about it today, and I can't remember. I can't remember when I first found FMLS because I definitely played 10 years ago because I started playing when he and I were dating. And we've been married 10 years this year. So I know I
Oh snap.
played. Yeah, but I can't remember. I can't remember. Stuff. Did you move your Cincy
Pretty
guys
sure.
friend?
I moved at least
Yeah,
one
I
of
would
them.
say like
I got
Okay.
Miles Robinson in the like addition section, so I feel like I got him covered. But Vasquez definitely is gone. And you guys like Fripp, go in there and just take anything you want for talking about. I just loaded things in there, so no.
I
I
just
took
went
I
through
mean,
like Tom Bogert's tweets, and
yeah, that the
it's
NYCFC,
largely Western teams. Yeah,
so many Western teams. I know next week will be crazy, but
yeah, like the
um
East is sleeping.
so I well and I laughed at myself because I went in. You wrote Nico for me, Reid, obviously. And I went and was like, Pedro de la Vega, and like started typing all the stuff, and I was like, oh no, wait. Wrong conference. That's not, I'm not doing that right now. Where is the striker kid? Yeah.
I gotta get this. So, oh no, my Richard and Ashley guesses were swapped.
You what?
I was trying to guess where you all might pop up on the
There we are.
in the graphic, and it was swapped around. So I was like, oh rats, it's swapped around. So I can probably get a little bit bigger with mine.
That's who the wolf is. I was like racking my brain today. I was going through that MLS.com article about like depth charts and stuff by conference, and they had a wolf at left back, and I was like, which fucking wolf is this? Like, that's not what, you know what I'm saying? I was like going crazy trying to figure out which wolf son it was, and it's no son. It's a completely different kid. It's driving me. I'm looking at your notes now saying that. I don't know if it was there earlier.
It's a single F.
I know, but
there's a double F.
Recording in progress.
It's the same to me when I haven't had coffee and I'm looking at this at home, getting over the flu.
Speaking of drinking Thai iced tea, which tastes like it has a lot of sugar in it.
So much sugar.
So
yeah. I lived in Seoul for a little over a year after college, and it was the worst coffee I've ever had anywhere in my entire life. Like, it was almost our entire teacher room was instant packets, which are like, what cancers I got from those, I don't know yet. But even just like,
to be seen.
Oh man, even just like the coffee shops and stuff, just everything so sweet. I go to Starbucks and I'd be like, can I have like half a pump of whatever that flavor is that I asked for? Because I don't know what you're doing over here. If everything tastes like sugar, like I'm not a picky eater with stuff like that, but like I don't like a lot of sugar. Like, I'm not much of a sweet tooth, and so I feel like I can really tell. And just coffees in Asia are either just the blackest black you've ever tasted, or the craziest amount of sugar. It's nuts.
Yeah. Nowadays, there's all these like, the one like not even 16. It's like half-liter coffee, like Heung-min Sung, like the Tottenham player. You see Son with this huge coffee thing on every corner.
Yeah. Oh my god.
It's the funniest thing. It's like, if he drinks that and plays, his heart's gonna explode. Like,
I don't understand how you could. I don't understand how that.
It's like chugging a full Red Bull.
Like, I know, yeah. It's literally like watching someone walk out with like a 4-pack of Red Bull and believing it.
But then you see like all the university students walk the streets at like 8 p.m. on a Tuesday holding these huge things.
Yeah, I know. Caffeine is not sleep times are different.
That's true,
in Asia, roughly. So
sleep duration for students too.
Sleep duration, when you go to sleep, how much you sleep, where you sleep. Were you able to get all my league stuff properly, Reid?
Yeah, I did.
Sorry. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Can you hear like the coffee shop music behind me?
No.
Great.
Not even a little bit. Great.
I hope the Wi-Fi holds up. If not,
yeah.
I might just go no video. But
Reid, do you care if I snipe Suarez, or do you have things you want to talk about?
I literally just started going through, putting players' names down there to be like, all right, if they don't talk about these, I'll just start checking them off and going through. So take whoever you all
I have some thoughts. Spencer and I have talked about it at length because he's a Liverpool guy, Spencer. So he's got a lot of Suarez opinions, right?
Chomp, chomp.
And so, yeah, but you know what's funny? When he played for them, he was like, it's all subjective. And then when he left, he's like, he's the worst. I was like, you're the worst. You're the worst. This is not.
All right. So yeah, feel free. You guys can keep going through and taking some stuff. I got all the monologues and soliloquies at the beginning. You guys are welcome. Like Richard, if you want to just wax lackadaisical about the old days, you're welcome to do that. And Ashley, if you want to do any the same thing, I like that when we kind of kick this stuff off with like the anniversary thing. So that's all good. I try to get a lot of the round, like I put the round one stuff in here because I'll probably just go ahead and start mentioning that these next couple of episodes as we're getting right up there for the previews and then mentioning the Champions Cup. But if there's anything else you guys think of, feel free to chime in with that. But I figure there's no really reason to talk about players for like absences or injuries or things like that right now.
But yeah, because we don't really know. Everybody's still in training camp.
Except Miazga, so that's really all we know for sure right there. Son of a bitch.
I still don't even know if he deserves it. I can't decide.
Yeah, and then I know I had to go and delete a couple of things that I have, like because I had some Western Conference players that snuck into my list. So we'll keep an eye on those as best as we can for that. But yeah, we'll just kind of go through there. I know you're kind of trying to get out of here around 9 your time, so we
8 my time.
8 your time. Sorry, I was like 3 hours, 2 hours. What was it? So yeah, and we'll do that.
We've never done a 2 hour and 15-minute. Even on our best rants, I don't think we've ever done one.
We don't have Blaine with us tonight, so that's
exactly
good too. So cool. All right, well, let me do the initial social, and then I'll kick it all off.
I think I found a Google Drive folder with some old stuff.
Oh, so
but it's a zip file, so I'm trying to unzip it. All right. Hello and welcome, everyone. Thanks for joining us. That's right, Ron, the theme song. It's back. Where's Blaine? I will let you, we'll talk about that in a little bit coming up. What's going on, Gene? Nice to see you. Our social media is out, posted on Reddit, posted on Twitter X. I don't know, whatever. I'm probably still going to call it Twitter. It's all good. But it's still out there on Twitter X. And as always, really appreciate sharing that so that we get all the eyes on it. And now we're starting back up, so looking forward to that. How is my volume, everyone who's with us right now in chat?
I'm great to me.
Well, thank you.
But I'm not.
You guys sound good too. I can hear you very well. It looks good on the little mic display.
Testing.
Yeah, you're good. You're good, but I always listen. They're good. Excellent. But there's always a little bit delay with what's live and what's going on. So listen to Ron and everybody to depend upon that. Let's see here. Yeah, the social's out there. I'll do one more social just to let all the people know. And we're back. Bam. There we go. Yeah, new graphic, new logo, fun times, nice shades. Look at you. Rocking it all out. MLS is almost back. That's right, Taco. Almost back. All right, cool. Excellent. Well, people are starting to come in. That's awesome. We'll see how many people we get for kicking off some of our previews. But we will do the chat, get it recorded. It is already recording. Don't worry. I'm not actually heard it. It's all going well. So we will get started after I take a drink. And open my second drink because that's going to be awkward if we have a little pop fizz during the middle of the show. We've had worse sounds, I guess.
Yep. Oh, Frip, you moved around. Did you change? You did.
You change? No, you're fine.
Oh, I accidentally clicked stop video. My bad.
Look at this. Now I gotta move it around.
No, rearranging live.
I gotta do this.
He's gonna do it live.
All right. I'll try not to fat finger that button again.
It's all good.
Keyword try.
It's all good. Just in the whoosh. There it goes. Now it's all good. So let's see how it goes. Okay, now we can go live after Frip did the weird stuff there. Jeez. Hello and welcome to the first episode of the 10th season of the MLS Fantasy Insider, our preview of the Eastern Conference in 2024. This episode is brought to you by Perspective, because a 6-0 win isn't always a 0-6 loss. No. Sorry. Actually, brought to you by our amazing MLS Fantasy Insider Patreon supporters. It's because of you that we've been able to keep this project going for so long, as we will touch on shortly. Learn more over at patreon.com/MLSFI, which heads up. We'll be getting some updates soon as the season is starting and we're getting everything sorted out. But again, more on that later. I'm your host, Reid Connolly from MLSFantasyBoss.com, and tonight I'm joined by my co-host, Ashley Savage. I'd also like to welcome our special guest, Richard Noack, a.k.a. Frip from the MLS Fantasy Boss Discord, and So Rare USA on Twitter, X, whatever, Twitter X is what we're going to call it. Welcome. Thank you all for joining tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Sawadee Cup.
Thank you for logging in from across the world. I'm just across the country.
That's right, yeah. Frip is joining us from Thailand, so crazy international episode we have right here. He'll be one of those metrics from across the, I've almost said pond, but that's not the pond. Across the other side over there, but
bigger
yeah.
pond. Yeah.
The
What
other
nickname
pond.
for that one is there? We should work on that.
I don't know what it is. Share if you know what that is. But as I sort of alluded to at the beginning of the show here, this is just a special season. We're back. We're so excited about it. And tonight we're going to be focusing on the Eastern Conference preview, just to touch on some of the notable departures and additions to kind of help get your creative juices flowing, get your mind back into it. If you are new players, welcome. I hope you have found this resource. For you advanced players, we're going to be talking about some things that are just good refreshers or to keep in mind. But if you're new players, we're excited to have you join us for your first MLS fantasy journey. It's a great community to be a part of. But before we get into all of that, as I said, this is a very special year for the MLS Fantasy Insider. If you hadn't noticed, if you're listening to us, I may not have done something on SoundCloud or one of the streaming sites yet, but if you're listening to us on YouTube, you can check out the websites. There's a new logo that we're being used. A temporary logo, but it's super crazy that I'm getting ready to say this, but we have been going for 10 years with the MLS Fantasy Insider. It literally feels like only yesterday that I was trying to just put this thing together in my spare room using Google Hangouts, RIP Google Hangouts. But yeah, it's been 10 years, and for all season long, I'm going to be trying to bring back some voices of the past and highlight some of just a collection of great guests that we've had and hosts that we've had across all this time, as we've just been investing in this crazy pastime that we all have. And that brings us to tonight's guest, Frip, who you've seen before and have interacted with many times on our social media platforms, I am sure. But Frip has been a friend of the show since it's got to be near the beginning of the whole darn project. What I am able to document going back through the records is that Frip first joined us on a show during the second season in 2015. That was the first time he made a guest appearance on the show. Of course, back then he was going by the name Backseat Manager in a property that's sort of, I guess, gone out to the internet wastes at this point. But yes, so one of the earliest voices that we've had partnering with the show. What do you recall about? MLS Fantasy Insider, of course, but just fantasy past. What's some of your recollections?
Yeah. Oh man, back then when it first started, it was still Kentucky. What was it? Kentucky soccer?
Oh, you're
There's
going
something
super.
with
Yeah, yeah, yeah. When I
it's
first
way
did
back,
the whole
way
project,
back.
yeah, yeah. It was KFC, Kentucky Football Club. When my buddy and I
Yeah,
first, yeah. So yeah, the history of MLS Fantasy Boss gets bled in some right there. Where I did my first season of fantasy FPL and was like, this is great. And I started playing fantasy MLS, and I was like, where are all the resources? I was like, dang it, I'll just make my own.
Sounds like
Kentucky Football Club, the Chatango.
Tango, yeah.
I mean, it would be. I should put up a picture. I was in high school. I still had hair. There was no hair here. The side by side would be shocking. Um, yeah, I was a junior in high school, or no, sophomore in high school when I started playing. There's the David Ferreira. His son is now playing. Like Wando was big, man. Still had Ljungberg on Sounders, way
Yep.
back, way back. Dempsey, all that. No, it's pre Dempsey even. Oh my
Yeah.
God,
That was pretty MC. No,
Javi Morales was the guy. You
yeah,
know,
Javi
oh,
Mo. We had all kinds of stuff with. I mean, it was. Yeah, it's been a lot of change, a lot of people, and of course, I didn't put this in the rundown because I didn't want to tease it, but I also have some details about Ashley, who, as you've noticed with the show tonight, Blaine is not with us, and that's because, as I mentioned last year, and as Ashley and I prepped for last year was basically Blaine's sort of swan song as an official regular co-host, but he was really bad at making that happen. Like we were always like, "All right, Blaine, we know you're just gonna do like maybe one this month." He's like, "No, I'm gonna be there all three. It's all no, I'm gonna be there. I'll pop up." And so, just kept us going all the time.
Yep.
But this year, Blaine will be on some. I've got him scheduled for our round one preview because he loves, as you guys know, to talk about value building. But Blaine has stepped back due to life and various things, as you know, with his own baby Rue over there. But so super happy to have Ashley with us, and not too much of a difference between Ashley and Frip, but Ashley first joined us as a guest host, was a special guest in season 5, round 6 of April 2019. It was like an April Fool's episode or something, but
That's what I was gonna say. 2019 is what
yep,
feels right.
that was the first time. And you were mentioning some of those old players, Frip. When I was doing the searching, going back, and I was like, Ashley, things popped up, and I was like, wow, that was super long. Oh, Ashley Cole. That's right, Ashley Cole. Momentarily have lost Frip. Again, he is in the Philippines, so
Thailand.
Thailand. Maybe I said that wrong before. He is in Thailand, so we'll see what his internet connection continues to be. But Ashley, you have some connections to fantasy, but just what do you recall about just your fantasy journey and MLS Fantasy Insider?
Yeah, I remember, starting to play with my now husband, when we first started dating, our first like MLS season together. I'd always played fantasy football and had also played FPL and had never even gotten introduced to fantasy MLS anywhere else. And kind of like you, I played the first season and I really enjoyed it. I didn't have any resources. I didn't have any groups. I didn't have any, any like other people in our lives who played. And I think it took me 1 or 2 seasons before I was like, there's got to be something somewhere. And I think that's how I slowly became a follower of, the various Twitter accounts and your Twitter account and the podcast and things like that. And I started listening a little bit pre-Mike, and now
Okay.
I'm trying to remember, and I don't remember it well, but I remember actively listening when it was you, Blaine, and Mike, and getting brought on as a guest host because I ribbed you about not having any female guest hosts, and you were like, "No one ever asks," and I was like, "I'll do it," and at the time it was one of my better years. I think I ended at least top 15 that year, maybe top 10. And so that was kind of how I, became more of a figure with the three of you and talking to the three of you, and got into the communities and stuff through that, which I didn't have before, and it was so great. Having all the resources that we do now makes me want to pull my hair out and makes me a better player, right? Like I kind of loved the days when it was just me and Spencer, and we just went on guts and like kind of like how you pick horses where you just like the name. There's something simpler about those times, but yeah, it's been a fun journey to come from just like, you know, vice captains and a huge bench and
Oh my gosh.
unlimited rotations, not
Yes.
unlimited, all the different variations of the game. So yeah, I can't believe it's been 10 years for this system and this program, and I'm just happy to be here for it.
Yeah, Ben Jada, Ben Bear, James Ballo, all the people who have been involved in
Yes.
MLS. That's right. All the
I
people
was gonna
there.
say the Ben Bear death charts.
Yeah.
It's been some
Yeah.
crazy stuff.
Oh,
But yeah, so that's just a little bit of history. I wanted to pardon me for taking a small moment there to just sort of review the history. It's like I said, it's crazy for me to just be like, wow, this has been going on for 10 years. So we have the special logo that's up. Had that commissioned through Fiverr, so I hope you enjoy that. We'll be using that all this season, just to kind of have some fun. We've got some things planned, which we'll touch on in a second. But we are going to be getting to our content for tonight because we are going to be previewing the Eastern Conference. But before we get to that, I know it may seem strange, but there is some housekeeping that I want to make sure everyone is aware of, especially if this is your first time listening. There is some housekeeping for round one and just the season in general that I want to make sure you understand coming up right after this. There we go. Yeah, you should definitely try to find some old screenshots and like post those. That'd be fantastic. Let's see here. I'd forgotten how I missed my little quick buttons because of the stupid Twitter API thing. And I'm like, oh yeah, I just can't hit the button. That's right. That's right. So I gotta do my... Didn't get that all set up yet for manual stuff. Let's see here. Get that. And then copying and pasting tweets, super janky. Oh my gosh. So I turned off the fancy pictures because Frip's kind of bouncing in and out because he's not in this country.
Yeah. Having a good time traveling.
Yeah, I know, it's rollerblading around there. Yep.
It's fantastic.
Let's see here.
I thought that was a metaphor.
No, literally.
Yeah.
Join live now on YouTube, random exclamation point, and put in the copy link. All right, sorry everybody, had to get that social media going there on the Twitters. Again, if you want to hop in and just retweet after every of the breaks, super appreciate any help you can do to get this out. So we'll wait for Frip to join us back. There we go. Wait for Frip to come back in, and then we will get started. Let's see here. He may be going videoless going forward.
Sure.
yeah.
Perfect.
I might switch Wi-Fi networks.
No problem.
Struggling. We'll get there.
We got it. All right, and welcome back to our housekeeping section during our Eastern Conference preview episode. That's right, I do have some housekeeping. First of all, let me just say, if you're running to the fantasy website right now to check it out, it's not up. The fantasy site is not up. We are still doing our Eastern Conference preview, as is tradition. These first episodes may or may not actually have player prices that we can look at, so that is going to be a factor that we are not considering when we're talking to you about players that we like, and just in general, this is going to be based on expected performance, previous performances, some preseason stuff. It's going to be just what we're hopes and dreams kind of stuff right here. But just so you know, the game is not live yet, though I hope that it will be live soon from some of the conversations that I've had, but I do not have any kind of date or any insight on potential changes that are coming to the game this year. What I do want to talk about, though, real quick is, of course, fantasy leagues. As soon as the game is live, I'll start sending out more information about the fantasy leagues for the MLS Fantasy Boss network of leagues with Discord, the MLS Fantasy Boss website, and our Patreon supporters. And, of course, the Pro Rel League, we will have that back. I've already started sending out some invitations for our Champions League. I'm giving people time to respond, because if people don't respond, I'm going to start promoting more people. There was some transitions, and then we'll start filling in the blank spots after everyone gets out. So once the game is live and I start sending out emails, I've got them all recorded from how I had it all logged from last year. Be listening to the updates and keeping an eye on Twitter when I say the emails have gone out, because if people aren't responding, I'm going to fill the spots. And if I move on, I'm sorry, but we got to get it filled. We got to have those spots filled in order for the games to go live when the games start. So yeah, patrons as well. I've got the swag from last year that I did you dirty and I did not send it all out. I'm so sorry, but I've got the orders prepped for the 2024 swag to come in. I'm getting that as well as the special swag we're going to have for the logo. I mean, it just seems right. Stickers, magnets, various cool things. Working on some special stuff for our top patrons that incorporates the 10th season celebration logo. So I'm really excited about that, and I hope you're excited to get some of that swag right there. All right, more fantasy related. Again, have not seen the game, so this is going to be just what I'm expecting based upon the past 10 years of how things have tended to work. So it looks like we're going to open the season with a double game week. From what I'm seeing, we're starting on a Wednesday, which is February 1st, with Miami versus Real Salt Lake. Everybody else is on the 24th and 25th, which is Saturday and Sunday. But it looks like RSL and Miami will be a double game week team for this first round, with RSL having a double away game and Miami splitting home away right there. And also, yes, we have a team on a bye, which without any expansion this year is going to kind of be a theme just like it was last year. So no big surprise right there. And in round one, it's going to be Vancouver. So once the game goes live, I'll be talking more. I'll make a new 2024 switcheroo video, and Vancouver is going to play heavily into that. If you're new and you're saying, Reid, what in the world is a switcheroo? And if you're still even like, Reid, who in the heck are you? Don't worry. We're going to become family and friends as we go through this season. And the switcheroo is an advanced tactic that I will give you some details about with hope, the next couple of weeks before things go live. And it wouldn't be MLS if there wasn't something else I had to add on top of the considerations you had to have for round one. And of course, this year, as usual, it's the CONCACAF Champions League, the Champions Cup that's going on. Vancouver is playing on 2/14. Miami's playing on 2/15. St. Louis and Houston are playing each other on 2/20. New England is playing on 2/21. Orlando is playing on 2/21. And then Nashville and Cincinnati not playing each other, but both playing on 2/22. So these first couple of weeks, we've got a bunch of teams playing. So even though it may not be a double game week in MLS Fantasy, several of these teams are essentially operating under double game week scenarios. And for Miami, that's going to be a pretty decent amount of congestion within the first few weeks of the season. So TBD for what's going to happen there. But I'll be making this announcement during our Western Conference preview and, of course, during round one. But just want to give that early heads up that we've got some congestion at the beginning of the season, just to keep in mind as you start eventually planning your first team. You can't say you weren't warned, because we're telling you right now. Normally at the end of this section, we're going to talk to you about injuries and suspensions and yellow card warnings or call-ups, any of that crazy stuff that happens, but not this week, because we don't know. It's still preseason. That's crazy. But what I can tell you is, if you can't catch the show or you want to watch this as it goes live, the amazing members of the MLS Fantasy Boss Discord community do fantastic work at keeping an updated list of players impacted by these call-ups. We call it the Mega Reference, and it's already being updated for 2024. You can find that by heading over to the Discord community and going down the list until you find the Fantasy Tools section, and it's right there at the bottom. We'll have awesome stuff in there, not just the player call-ups, but we'll have players who are out of the game that are ideal for switcheroos. We tend to have depth charts for who's taking penalty kicks and just various set plays. It's a great resource. There'll be more tools in that section, so head over to that. The easiest way to find out how to join the Discord is to head over to MLSFantasyBoss.com. In the top bar, you can click on Discord, MLSFantasyBoss.com/Discord, and you can just click right there. It's fun, it's easy, it's free. It is the best. I would put that against anybody. The best fantasy soccer community there is online. Super friendly. We have players who have won in the past, frequently in the top 10 throughout the seasons. It is a very super helpful place, and so I hope to see everyone over there right now. Ashley, Frip, anything you guys want to add about either the Discord or any of this early housekeeping, just league round stuff that we have?
I would just jump in and say, let's not overthink it yet. Like, we're going to talk about a couple of things these next 2 weeks, but like, you know, savor these moments where you don't have to make a team just yet. Don't, make 7 drafts without the system being live. Like, just hang tight. And then
or make 15 right now. It's fine.
Make 20.
No, I don't encourage that. But also I'll echo what you said. We plug Discord here a lot, and that's for a reason. When we were talking about, in the intro of, there's got to be resources for this game I've started playing. Well, there are. And, if we sat here and listed everything on that mega reference every episode, we would have 2-hour episodes. So, once we get into the season, we do only touch on the bigger things, the more notable things. And so being a part of that community, just to have access to those resources, I think is so helpful to the game. And also it's good people. So give it a shot.
Definitely good people. I think there's at least like half a dozen, if not more than a dozen people who've stuck around for almost the entire 10 years.
Yeah, for sure.
If not more, if not longer, which is incredible if you think about it. Like,
yeah,
for such a quote unquote small thing, like to have that type of consistency and knowledge that comes with it, very valuable. Ask questions.
An amazing project. All right, but yeah, we'll see you there in the Discord. But for tonight, we're going to jump right into talking about just notable departures and just notable transfers and players that we think you should keep an eye on for the Eastern Conference coming up right after this. Everyone will be over 10. I mean, that's true.
I don't do that. I don't make a ton of drafts as we start a season. I don't know why. Opening weekend
Definitely
is
tinker.
Like, I go real gut heavy of opening weekend.
You know those anti-social social club shirts? There should be an anti-tinker club shirt with just like MLS fantasy on it. I would wear that.
It was like tinkery here. I came on every friggin' Monday night, pissed as shit. I ruined it. I messed it up again. I did it. Like, it's not like I didn't pick a guy. It was I tinkered out a guy, or I tinkered in this idiot, or what. So stupid. This year I will not. That's my New Year's resolution. I don't make New Year's
Famous last words.
Exactly.
Famous last words.
Yep.
But is there an ad break?
Yeah, it's an ad break, and I'm getting the social done.
Nice.
I didn't update.
This is new.
Yeah, so I do this. I get a question every now and then. At least once a season, I'll get a question of like, why are you doing this? It's because I make edits in the podcast, and I drop the little. I have little commercials. I just have little sound breaks that I drop in. It just makes it easy for me to put like time jumps, and so like I put in the list of the podcast, like, hey, you can jump to this if you want to jump to the preview, jump to here. If you want to jump to the housekeeping, jump here. And so it just kind of makes it easy. And then I can send out some social media and do all that. And that's the one thing I forgot to prep is to have my copy and paste ready for my little, to have my copy and paste ready for my little plug. So Bush League.
Yeah, I think I fixed the Wi-Fi.
Nice.
Well, I didn't fix it. I just changed networks, but it's much better now.
I'm taking this Yosef one because it made me laugh.
Go for it. All right, and there is the last social for tonight. So again,
what's the retweet button? Repost.
Like love. Here we go. All right, let's do this.
Trying to find it.
All right, welcome back. We're talking about players from the Eastern Conference. And since this is still preseason, what I wanted to highlight tonight are notable departures from this season and some notable transfers and new arrivals. Again, we try to keep our show fantasy focused. And so there are definitely going to be players who you love, definitely going to be players who are going to make a significant impact to their team for them being there, but that does not always translate into actual fantasy production. So our list is going to try to focus on players who, well, unless we think they're kind of funny to put on there, but usually they're going to focus on the players who are going to have some kind of a fantasy relevant contribution to their team. So that's what's driven our list here for departures, new transfers, and arrivals. If there's someone who's not here, please hit us up on Twitter. Let us know what you think. Head over to the Discord community and post right there. It's we want to get your feedback and just kind of help share that knowledge as the discussion goes on. So let's first talk about notable departures from the Eastern Conference. Richard, who are you sad to see go? Who do you think fantasy managers are sad to see go?
So I think the biggest one is probably Brandon Vasquez. But before we get into that, I think the biggest departures are the ones that haven't departed. I'm going like immediate inception here. But if you think about it, it was kind of a slow window. None of the big Premier League clubs really splashed out big cash compared to the last 2, 3, 4, or 5 years. And so we didn't see that kind of trickle down domino add-on effect. So guys like Barreal, guys like Almada, guys like Tolkien, they're all still in MLS. Buck, Wanga, right? Like, if you had to make a bet a few months ago, you probably would have bet that at least 2 or 3 of those 5 would be gone by now. So I think that's huge that a lot of those guys have not departed, but which is not to say they won't leave in the summer, but that's for the summer.
Right. I'm not sad that Barreal's still here. I mean, I'm not going to complain.
Yeah, either.
That's awesome.
For fantasy? Are you kidding?
Nope.
Right? And so I think some notable ones, I'm just going to list off.
Yeah.
So Charlotte, new coach, got rid of Swiderski, loaned him out, got rid of Jozuiak. So that's 2 DPs that are kind of like, clean slate there. Cincinnati had some big changes. I think, relatively speaking, Arias, Moreno, Vasquez, Mosquera, a lot of defensive players there, right? That's like almost the core. Gustavo Bo went back to Argentina. I think Tajeres is like hometown club. DC basically ripped up their entire defense. Pines is now in England. I don't know what's up with that.
And we have to mention Donovan Pines, since that's like one of Tyler Ranchinator's favorite players. Like R.I.P. him.
He's a pod favorite. He's a Discord favorite. He's a pod favorite. Yeah,
people love him.
And that's the weird thing is he was often one of the only DC players who was generating some kind of fantasy points. So definitely sad to see him go.
Yeah, Andy Nahar, I think they declined his option.
Yeah, they did.
Heinz Eich out. So lots of turnover there. Red Bulls. Lots of Luquinhas back to Fortaleza in Brazil, Yearwood to Nashville, Barlow gone to Chicago, Omir Fernandez to the Rapids. Hey, that's next week. Orlando as well. Antonio Carlos, Mauricio Pereira. That's like the cornerstone almost of the team for the last few years. Urso, Gaston Gonzalez loaned out, Duncan McGuire.
Drama.
I can't believe that's
Crazy
still
drama.
not Duncan McGuire, period.
In limbo.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
He's just like gone, not gone, loaned, canceled, in limbo, purgatory.
He's just going to stay in the UK and just see what happens.
I told my wife that story, and she's like, I don't even know what you're talking about, but to like lose your job on the airplane to your job sounds awful. It's like, yeah, pretty much.
But now it's like he's lost his job at his job. Like, he's there. He was there. We'll see. TBD, guys.
That's a few. Obviously, Miles Robinson from Atlanta to Cincy.
Yeah.
That's probably we're going into some of the replacements here.
Yeah. I love your comment of just Toronto alive, ? You can say the same thing for Philly alive, ?
Yeah, there's a few teams where, I guess, touching on like, it's what day is today? Today is February 6th. Some teams have not made nearly any moves. Like, it's just dead silence. Like, Toronto has gotten rid of, a fair amount of players, nothing major. But I think the only players in are their 2 draft picks. Nothing has happened else. Like, the Italian's still there.
They brought in Latif Blessing. That's cut to later notes from me. But yeah, nothing. They've done nothing.
Yeah. Austin, Philly, Columbus, to be fair, they don't have to do as much, but there's a few teams that, they like to take their time, it seems.
Yeah.
So, we'll see.
Anybody add, Ashley?
The only one that, Robinson from Atlanta was a lot for me. I just want to circle back to that a little bit because, when Garth Lagerwey came to Atlanta, I knew that he'd make changes either with the coach or with the team because that's what Garth does. It's with the intention of winning everything, not like being in control, if that makes sense. And letting him go is kind of crazy to me. Like that's a big one. That's a staple of your team. He's come back from injury. He's still young. He's playing for the national team. Like, to let him go to an Eastern Conference rival, let alone just let him go. That one's interesting. I'm interested to see how Atlanta fans feel about it. I don't know much about like contracts or the negotiation, anything like that. Just seeing his name leaving was kind of crazy to me. And then great for Cincinnati because center back depth, from my perspective, has always been an issue in that back line. I traditionally don't touch center backs. I was never a Miazga person. Burned me once, But Miles Robinson in that Cincy back line is now much more appealing to me and makes the wing backs more appealing too. But the only one, I'll throw out there that Richard didn't mention was Josef Martinez. I saw him linked to Montreal. Things didn't pop as well for him in Orlando as I thought they would. It's kind of a bummer to see, his former coach be okay with letting him go. And, when you see a striker start to get on the other side of their career, especially a striker like Josef, who was just a massive player in fantasy, a massive player for the league. It's just kind of crazy to me that he hasn't been picked up yet, that he's still floating around, maybe or not. Like I remember Dom Dwyer did a similar thing, right? Like he got let go by Atlanta and it seemed like to me he would just get picked up somewhere for depth. I don't think he has at all. I don't think he's been picked up anywhere. And Dom Dwyer and Josef Martinez, I don't think are the same striker. I think Josef was a much more prolific goal scorer. But yeah, just crazy to me that he is nowhere right now. So yeah, interesting to see if he does pop up somewhere. Like maybe I'm crazy, but Sounders signed Danny Moskovsky, a young bench player at best. I would have loved if the price was similar to grab a Josef Martinez instead of, but no one asks me. So that's the only one that is still really kind of head shaking to me that, Miami could just end his contract and nothing so far.
Kellen Acosta too.
Kellen Acosta.
Taking his sweet time. Taking his sweet time.
I think it's kind of funny with Josef because he's just gone. Yeah, he's not here, and so like when I was writing the notes out, I was like Josef MIA, and I was like, oh, that's like a double meaning right now. It's just missing in action for Miami. I'm just going to add two more because you guys have done a great list of some of the big impacts, but I was shocked to see that Yamil Assad is just gone as well from DC. A player with a lot of connection with fantasy of not necessarily being the go-to there every week kind of must-have player, but had some consistent options there. Good bench player in the past, just gone. And then also Leandro Gonzalez Perez, LGP. We're all about him. Also in Miami, he's gone to River Plate, and one of the consistent options usually talked about in defensive options. Because unlike Ashley, I do like some big CBs in their bonus point production. He was one traditionally you were able to go to and actually find some good point production there. So a lot of change, but I do think you're right, Frip. That was a great point to make. A lot of players are still here who we expected to go, and so their quality will be around at least for a half a season. We may have to have this conversation again about where they're going to go. But the more we have to talk about who's gone. That's going to change teams. A lot of players who have left their teams, though, have transferred, as we touched on a little bit already. And those transfers and new additions are what are really exciting talking points as we get into the fantasy season. So we're going to break those down position by position of just kind of quickly who we like that has moved in. Chat, feel free to jump in as well for yourself. with players that you like at these positions. If you guys don't have anything, especially I know in some of these positions there are not many, feel free to just be like, nah, I got nothing else. But let's start with keepers. I know Ashley, Frip, is there anybody who you're excited about?
You wrote the only keeper that I'd even seen came into the league. So you take it away, Reid.
So yeah, Josh Cohen down in Atlanta. Potentially, I know I've seen some depth charts that have him. I know Frip's got some good depth charts as well if you're not checking out his stuff. But challenging Guzan, replacing Guzan, who's going to be up there at the top? He was a free signing that came in this year, and could I don't know what the price is going to be with that. That's where it's going to really potentially pay off. Is he going to be priced close to Guzan or not? Where do you see him coming in at, Frip, as a starter, or is this going to be a battle throughout the season?
So the beat writer for Atlanta, Doug Roberson, I believe, he, there's a lot of people who, I'm going to use the word adore Brad Guzan, to the point where I quote tweeted Pablo Maurer earlier today with like a screenshot of a guy named Guzan Guy 1. Like, love that. So a lot of Guzan fans put it that way. So, but basically Doug said it's a battle, advantage to Cohen. So could go still either way, I think.
Yeah.
Hey, and you got to watch out. I mean, people were really excited about some changes that Vancouver did last year. Did not pan out very well for them.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of quality down in Atlanta, so this is going to be one to check out.
We could never mind. Wrong league. I was going to talk about.
We do have one more, I think, that we should mention.
Go for it.
Especially given the team. New England, Ravas. So after Turner, after Petrovic.
Yeah.
Right. I think the extra time, this just popped in my head, the extra time radio guys were like, the best thing is like their goalkeeper coach. I forgot his name. Sorry to him. But yeah, they brought in Ravas, who seems like Petrovic V2, or that seems to be the type of like profile and the goal with that signing. So, and New England have like, pretty stout defense. So I think that's the only other big move that's expected to be a starter. Otherwise, like
for this conference, I'd say, not to get into the West, but the West has definitely had some
goalkeepers.
goalkeepers.
We're focused right here. Absolutely.
Blinders on.
Yeah, what did he come from? Russia? Is that where their keeper came from?
Yeah, wasn't it?
Yeah, Eastern Europe.
Yeah, it was something. It's yeah. I'm not even gonna. As you know, I will butcher a lot of team names, especially if you're new here. I will butcher a lot of team names. I am not even going to begin to try to pronounce the team where he came from. But yeah, so yeah, a lot of new keepers. The biggest thing with keepers is they're going to be some of your most consistent point production throughout the season because they're playing. As long as they're starting, you're going to be getting those points. Yep. And the price is going to be so crucial. We'll talk a lot about double up or not double up. But some of these players like Atlanta, I'm keeping an eye on because if that's a battle, are they going to be competitively priced? Or is there going to be some value right there? But that's going to be a sweet spot I look forward to talking about as we get closer to the season. Excuse me. Let's move on to defenders. Chat, let us know who you like. Frip, who are you tracking or excited about for defender transfers?
Definitely Miles Robinson.
Yeah.
I believe just, given the known profile, he's easily number one right now in terms of like the impact. His replacement, oh god, here we go. Norwegian or Scandinavian names. Gregerson.
Yeah, I like that.
That's that's what Atlanta brought in.
I liked it, yeah.
Yeah. There's a few more. So Orlando let go of Antonio Carlos. I don't think it's official yet, but they're supposedly bringing in Brekalo. Again, another Scandinavian center back.
But don't you feel like it's got Breck Shea vibes to it? Like that's what I like about it. I feel like if Breck Shea, I know he was a Miami guy, but not an Orlando guy. But if Breck Shea had, like a Spanish uptick to his name, yeah, I'm interested in him. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, there's a new Breck in town. That's
oh.
in a while, right? What else do we have? Lots of new fullbacks.
Lots of new fullbacks. It's I think there's a lot of names that are new that may amount to something, but aren't flashy right now, right? Didn't come in hot necessarily.
Yeah.
Gressel moving around was the biggest. Gressel and Robinson to me are tied for the most interesting defensive movements within or from outside of the league. I don't understand how that man bounces. He must be like, I want to read that memoir because when I watch him play, even, this past season, I think I would want him on my team. Why do people not? He's not super overpaid anymore, right? But he's bounced around. I mean, he's like a full-on journeyman now. Like he's Bill Bruin at this point. So I don't understand. He definitely seems like he still has it in the tank. I know he was coming off the bench a little bit at Columbus, but still producing from a fantasy perspective consistently. Now you're putting him above in most of the lineups I've seen preseason, and don't even get me started on that Miami preseason. Am I right? But I have seen him in a 5-back above DeAndre Yedlin. And I am all here for that. Like, I am so here for that formation. I'm here for him positionally there. I think he can do a lot of damage across the field from Jordi Alba whenever Jordi Alba is healthy. So seeing him get picked up by Miami, and yes, that's a Tata reunion as well, right? Gressel was with Atlanta, and that's a homecoming. But that to me was just so interesting that, that Columbus would bring him in and then just let him go. So I have no idea who that man is pissing off, but I'm still consider him for fantasy because he definitely showed that he still could contribute when he was at Columbus. So,
and the yearly question will still remain though: will he be classified as a defender or a midfielder?
He should be classified. I'll talk to Skylar. He should still be classified as a defender because I don't feel like it's fair to have a 5-back. Do you know what I mean? Like. Yeah. I don't know, but he has flirted with it every year, and we all know it. So it wouldn't blow my mind if he's listed as a midfielder. Do I like him as much then? Probably not. But even if he's a defender, he's going to cost as much as a midfielder.
Yep.
So does it matter?
Points generation.
Sure. The only other one that really caught my eye, and this is just another within league, it was another guy who's just been kind of journeymaning around, was Gutman from most recently Colorado, moved to Chicago. He has bounced a lot as well. Atlanta, New York, Colorado now. Chicago, I might have missed one between.
Cincy in there, right?
Was he Cincy? No.
Was he?
Yeah, Gutman was there for a hot minute.
Okay,
oh wow!
Great.
Yeah. That was an absolute guess.
Before he went back to Atlanta, yeah.
Okay. I mean, yeah, there's been spells where he's contributed super positively in fantasy. It wasn't last season. Chicago isn't a team I often target for fantasy in general, even matchup depending. So I'm interested to see, how he contributes to that team. They're in a little bit of a rebuild, but that was an interesting signing for me as well to see him swap conferences and move to a different team again. So
yeah, Chicago, they've done a full rebuild of their defense, and so I mean that's one it's worth noting because you're going to want to keep an eye on it. I'm going to want to keep an eye on it because you may be able to find some kind of diamond in the rough right there, but it's a full rebuild, and so there is no expectation of what that may look like at this time. I know we talked about some of these players before. We talked about Gonzalez Perez leaving down to Miami. It looks like he's been replaced by Argentine defender Nicolas Frieri. One to keep an eye on when I'm looking at defenders, as most of you probably do, and if you're new, what you're going to want to start figuring out for yourself, center backs that produce bonus points or wing backs that are getting into attacking situations and generating offensive points. Those are really the only ones you're going to want. Anyone who's middling in between, not worth it. So a big potential quality center back is going to be someone I'm always keeping an eye on if they're generating those bonus points. Same thing down in Atlanta with Satan or Stein. I don't know how to say. We'll figure it out. Butchering that name. But Miles Robinson's replacement. If Robinson, fantastic with bonus points, so excited to have him in Cincinnati. Will that be happening in Atlanta as well? Keeping an eye on there. And I'm also super excited about Nick Lima going up to New England. Yeah, as a right back. He had some great production several years ago when he was with San Jose with us. Not as much with some of his moves. So Really excited to see if that works. More from him leaving Austin, going up to New England. Definitely want to keep an eye on that one myself, just to see where that goes. Looking in chat, yeah, Lennon's still around. Amundsen, we'll see what's happening there. Tolkien, yeah, a lot of these guys are still here. Definitely going to be keeping an eye on what they're doing. Super excited that they're still in. No, it's all fine, Fizz. Excited to have them around, and we'll be talking more for sure about them. Well, see what I guess Tolkien's going to be. We'll see what happens with. I mean, New York's had some changes. We'll see what happens there. Lots of question marks around the Red Bulls still, though. But yeah, we'll talk about more about them in a couple weeks. Let's move on to midfielders. And Ashley, I made you talk about this one, so I know you're going to have to kick us off.
Yeah, I have been not shy about my feelings as a Sounders fan and a fantasy player for Nico Lodeiro. I think many times last season I said on this podcast, don't pick him up. I don't care what other people in Discord are telling you. My opinion is don't do it. And I'm not sure I was ever wrong. I'm not saying he didn't ever produce, but the times that I was like, don't do it, it's not going to happen, I don't think I ever ate crow for it. So
you were right. No, you were correct.
Yeah, but I didn't want to be Reid. I really wanted him to prove me wrong. I really wanted him to turn into the number 10 that he used to be, but he's not. And so it was definitely a little sloppy. I don't love that, right? Like there's something about when your team kind of does a guy dirty that really did a lot for you, and it gets lost, right? Like, he thought one thing and we said another and whatever, right? I would have been quite content to start this season without both Nico and Rui Diaz as a Sounders fan. From a fantasy perspective, I think that he could be a really interesting contribution to Orlando. They are a team that tends to want to run through their midfield, right? They thrive with a 10. There's enough players still there. I mean, God, do they need a striker? But there's enough players still there that I think he could be interesting from a fantasy perspective. I think I'll give him a couple of weeks before I invest my money there. I'm also interested to see, I think he'll take a price drop in the game. I could be wrong because he's still a bigger name, but when the team that brought you into MLS gives you like a sad little goodbye, and his point production last year was abysmal, I don't even know if he ever cost more than 9 as a 10, if he did, it wasn't by much. And so I think he might end up being kind of a budget pick. If I'm right, I could be very wrong because I don't ever contribute to pricing unless we're asked to. But yeah, going to be in purple, going to be in a different conference, going to be with a different coach. Missing a lot of the figures he's used to playing with for sure. So it'll be really interesting, to see how this plays out for him as a player, because he's always been a name, right? Even when he wasn't producing, you'd look at, Sounders at home in good home form against, I don't know, last place San Jose, and you think, well, do I pick up Nico Lodeiro? Even if he hadn't been, producing. So interested to see how he works out there. For me, I know that's not what this podcast is about, but I just feel like because I kind of had shit on him a lot the last year, and I've got crap for that. To me, the best sounder that's ever played the game. The most important sounder, the most impactful sounder. From a fantasy perspective, no one did better, I think, maybe than Clint. Maybe Oba. So definitely gonna miss him, but I think it was the right move. A couple other names for me that stood out. Forsberg came from Leipzig, Red Bull Leipzig, to New York Red Bull on Red Bull, sharing there. I don't know what it says when you can't make it at Red Bull Leipzig, so you can play for New York Red Bull. I don't know what that means for him, but my husband won't shut up about this guy. And as much as it pains me to say it, whenever he gets a Spidey Tinker, what do we call him? Spencer, we had a name for it. Like Spencer Suspicions. I don't remember what it was. It's been too long since our last season. Whenever Spencer gets a gut pick about someone that I have not even thought of, 90% of the time he's right. And so I'm definitely paying attention. He's had some great preseason stuff too. So I'm very interested to see as a midi how he plays out. Red Bull midfielders for me, I'm gonna say for like 4 seasons, maybe more, have just been a hot bag, right? Like, which one do you pick? Who's gonna hit? Do they even hit? Is it the striker and like they've just been really tough to pick from recently. We have a similar problem with like FC Dallas sometimes and stuff like that, right? So I'm interested to see, do they have a guy? Like, do they finally have a guy that we love to pick up on a weekly basis? I think he might. Um, and then I have two kind of again journeyman movements amongst MLS. Atlanta picked up Dax McCarty. I don't even know. I don't even think he's going to play. I don't know if that's fantasy related. I just thought it was interesting that, again, he kind of came into Nashville and did a lot for them, and then um, didn't get much of a swan song, and now he's gone. And then, like I said, alluded to earlier, like it's some big reveal. I don't think it will account to much either. But Latif Blessing got picked up by Toronto. So interested to see someone. I can't remember the last time he did make a fantasy impact, but he has. And Toronto's such a weird fantasy team that, like, I don't know, off the wing, maybe. Like, I guess there's still some skill and speed there, but I thought that was an interesting kind of amongst MLS pickup for sure.
And we'll say one thing about Dax McCarty is as a D mid, not a lot of fantasy production right there.
Even
but yeah,
when he did,
definitely a lot of contribution to the locker room. Frip.
Yeah, that's it. If I had to pick one, I'm gonna steal from you, Reid, but I think Yankov to Montreal.
Yeah.
Given Montreal has been very, very active, and Yankov, I think he has like Canadian roots, or like he's born in Toronto or something like that. But basically, could be the guy that's essentially on set pieces, plays as attacking midfielder, like as a 10, so to speak.
Yep.
And so that, just given the profile, he came from, I believe it was Ludogorets or Red Star Belgrade, one of those two.
Yep.
And to be honest, I have not seen much of those teams.
Don't watch a lot of that.
So, no, I could give you Japan or like Argentina, but not that. Yeah, I think he has lots of. That's like a profile. If I were playing draft, I guess it depends on the price in the actual FMLS game, but in draft, that's kind of like a sleeper, like, And then also another Finn to MLS, Peltola to DC. Again, like defensive midfielder. Transfermarkt says he's played as a center back. That doesn't seem right, but I think he's going to play like defensive midfield for DC. We skipped over Aaron Herrera to DC, which, again, depending on what happens with the DC defense, whether it's Miller or Bono, whether it's Herrera could be very attacking, right? If they play three center backs.
Yep.
But yeah, those two I think are like
he was very
the
quiet
big ones in the East.
I really thought he'd continue his point production there, and he didn't at all. So I'm interested to see what system he gets put into in DC, and can he get some of that form back?
Yeah, I got burnt a lot. I think last offseason I was very like excited about Kufre in the fullback for New York City, Herrera to Montreal. I was like, oh wow, that's such a good fit. And Negri in Miami, I was like, yeah, these guys are gonna absolutely like smash it. Definitely. Yeah, so I'm a bit more reserved about any wingback, fullback situation this year. Yeah, some moderation, so to speak. But yeah, that's I think all I've got for the Eastern like midfielders so far.
Yeah, I had a few more in there. Just that I'm looking at. Tyler Boyd coming in from LA, going to Nashville, scored goals, provided assists out there with LA. I think that's definitely something that could be utilized in Nashville. So I think he's on the wing. It's likely where he's going to slot into out there. So excited to see what potential he may have in that system. Grey Goose from Minnesota to Houston. That just happened today. That got posted. Really excited about that. I mean, I know we were all about Herrera in Houston. One of the few options that did kind of produce right there. Quality of Jan Grey Goose going to Houston could really add some depth to fantasy options right there, especially if that form continues. And then a couple of guys from the New Yorks up there. Lots of changes within both New York teams, and so not exactly sure where they're going to fall in like fantasy value overall. But Emil Forsberg coming in from Red Bull Leipzig is a midfielder I'm kind of keeping an eye on there. They've had some changes in the attack, so definitely want to see how that fits in. And then Hannes Wolf coming in from a German team that I am not going to
Borussia
try.
Mönchengladbach.
There you go. Good job. Good job, Frip. Again, some attacking right there. Lots of changes in New York City in general, though. So that's, but those are a couple of names that I definitely want to take a look at, see what their prices are, see what the season started out with those teams. At midfield, I'm kind of excited to see where they may go. Heading over to chat. Yeah, no, our New York people talking about those players as well. Exactly. Yeah, these are definitely people we're gonna want to keep an eye on right there. Well, let's wrap up the players and start talking about forwards. Lots of names on this list. Frip, who do you have?
We can keep it New York City. I think Agustin Ojeda. So these two are not going to be official yet, but it's like to the point where Tom Bogert has probably put 2 or 3 tweets out about them. So Agustin Ojeda, I think he's more of a winger, could be like a forward in fantasy, could be a midfielder. Seems like a U22 guy from Argentina. And then the big one that's as of today, here we go, another Slavic name, but Mijatovic from Red Star Belgrade, who is like an 18-year-old. If we're just looking at the price tag, supposedly New York City are going to pay up to $10 million for him.
Yep.
He has 8 goals, 2 assists in about 600 minutes this year. So there's obviously a lot of expectation baked into that. And so, yeah, the Santi Rodriguez plus whomever the forward is, if it's Bakar or him, that's something I'm like very, very interested in.
Yep.
And then, yeah, we have the big, limbo Duncan Maguire. Perhaps a sign to where that may head is that Orlando are looking at Muriel, who's playing in Italy, Atalanta. I think he's a Colombian. Don't quote me on that. Might be Ecuadorian. Forward. I think he's like 30, 31. So he could be the replacement to Duncan Maguire if and when or however that may happen.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's also not official. And then, yeah, I think the really big one is Chicago opening the purse again. Kuipers. He was the leading goal scorer in the Belgian league, comes from Ghent. And yeah, they're paying might be like MLS record, close to Almada, like $12 million.
Nice.
So it's Chicago.
Again, big question marks.
Right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Like, to quote Extra Time, they really do need chance creation more so. They have the 9. That's great. This is absolutely a win for Chicago. Should they have paid as much? Who cares? Not my money.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think he might. Will they put him at 10 million for fantasy? I don't know. Yeah. But he could be one of the more expensive forwards, I think. Yeah, I'll leave it at that for now.
Ashley.
The one that is heavily rumored, but I haven't seen confirmed that kind of interested me was Albert Ellis to Red Bull, to New England Revolution. I haven't seen that went over the line. I think he'd be a really interesting fit in that system. A lot of former MLS fantasy points on that name. We'll see if it ends up actually happening. And then, not to steal the big one, but Luis Suarez, with all of his injections and pills he takes every day to lead up to a game, coming to Inter Miami. People talked a lot with just Busquets and Alba, right? Messi's collecting, his retirement pals. And I was the first one to kind of be like, well, hold on, because, this isn't a retirement league, but guys who are close to retiring can still ball out here. So, as they can a lot of places, because they're some of the best in the world at their position at one point. So, give them a chance. I thought that those two guys had a great production season for fantasy in the amount of time that they were in the league. Did they both get hurt? Yes. Did Messi also? Also, yes, but we knew that was happening, right? I feel so much less confident about Luis Suarez being a player in this league than I did about Messi's Messi, so your hot takes are not welcome here with him. But Busquets and Alba, I could hear that argument. Those hot takes. I get it. But Suarez, I'm just not on it, Reid, and you know that I love to hop on. First of all, I do hate bandwagons, but I love getting on this Miami bandwagon. It just goes against all my natural instincts. I'm just ready to jump aboard. But I don't know that I am for Suarez. I think that he can still score goals. I think he will score some goals. Unless he's just like punking all of us and this is some bit, like I know he hasn't stayed healthy because I can look at how many games he's played in the last few years. But the things that he's talking about, like his body, I think he's showing up for one season at most. I don't even know if he makes it till summer. He wants to play with his friends again. He wants to be with his buddy. If they link up a couple of times, he can ride off into the sunset and call it good. This is not a name I'm targeting heavily for fantasy. I was more interested in Josef Martinez playing with Messi than I am for Suarez, to be completely honest. I think he's a fantastic player, um, but I just think he's too old and broken to really contribute. Um, Maybe he'll prove me wrong. And like I said, maybe this is all a bit. Maybe this is a long con. He's just been,
Suarez scam.
yeah, he's possuming all of us, but I don't think so. So we all knew it was coming. I mean, that was the bit when Messi signed, right? So he's not eating up too much money. I don't think he's gonna
As a
eat up.
TAM player.
Yeah, I
Not
don't think
even
he's gonna eat up too many minutes, you guys. Like, I people really kind of hated on Zlatan for how old he was when he got here. That man, like, half volleyed a goal from the 50-yard line. Luis Suarez would do that and then never play again. So I think it's very different. It seems like he's just not in the physical space that he could or should be to make the impact you would have expected him to a couple of years ago. Um, but I don't ever doubt someone who gets to play with Messi. I think my 7-year-old son would be a fantasy prospect if he got to play with Messi. So that is the factor I'm not taking away. But if you show me a lineup with Suarez and no Messi, I'm out.
And hush your mouth saying that we're not here for the hot takes. We are always here for the hot takes. 100% send us your hot takes. Again, a few more I'm going to add. Corey Baird to Cincinnati. Kind of a weird one. Go ahead and call it a homer pick. But he's one of those players that he may not turn into your fantasy go-to, but I am really interested to see what his presence is going to do to the fantasy output of Bupenza. That's where I think his value is going to be. That's what we hoped for with Vasquez. Didn't work out as much. Definitely that's a position that needs to produce for us this year. So I was super actually bummed to see Baji leave because I really loved him up there and thought that he was good to provide some options. So bummed to see about that. But I'm interested in the Corey Baird move to see what impact fantasy-wise that has on some of the other players. And so that's why I have that one on here. Matias Arezzo over at New York City FC, Uruguayan international coming in from La Liga side, Granada. Could have some good scoring potential there. Again, lots of changes in New York teams, but that's another one to keep an eye on. Matias Cacaro coming into Montreal. He's been a consistent scorer coming in there. And so new coach, lots of new stuff going on in Montreal, probably a better fit than it was last year. But Montreal had some surprising results. And so want to keep an eye on him at the forward spot and see. And also new announcement just dropped today. Diego Rubio going to Austin. I want to keep an eye on it. I mean,
they need it.
They need it. He had some production when he was with Colorado. He's usually one of the few you might consider. But let me just say, preview for next week. Super excited to talk about Colorado with Matt Pollard. But Rubio going to Austin is definitely another transfer that I want to at least keep my eye on and see how that pans out and what that may do to that team right there.
Can I get a Suarez counterpoint? I just pulled up
the
social score.
Yes.
So in his last 8 to 10 games with Grêmio in Brazil, which was a newly promoted team last year, he has a hat trick game. He has a game with 2 assists, a goal, penalty earned. He has a game with 2 goals. Basically, he had that weird interview, or that, let's say, a 2-3 week span where he's like, I think I can't do it anymore. I can barely walk. When he gave all those quotes, which was right around the time people were speculating, he's trying to get out of his contract to go to Miami on a free, because that's how Miami needs. it to happen.
100% deal with
They
that.
do
But
so.
ever since that happened, which was I believe in August, around like late August last year, he has been on an absolute heater. I don't think he's the best player in Brazil last. Some people are saying that last year, but he was definitely high level, very explosive. So like
Yeah, he got
given in
17 goals in 33 games, right? Like
yeah,
that's more
a
than
lot of multi-goal
half
games.
game.
More than
Yep,
Martinez got.
100%.
Well,
And that's what they need. That's what they need. They need
yeah.
the offset for Messi.
Yep.
Like if I see Suarez starting, he's either dare I say I would captain him. Like given if you have the lineup and he's in there, then I think at least like switcheroo flyer or like potentially even captain pick. He might because he also gets a lot of like key passes, like he does rack up bonus as well.
Sure.
I mean,
Kind of like combining. So
Suarez captain is a captain pick that you can really sink your teeth into, I think.
Sure.
I'm sorry.
Oh,
I'm so sorry.
let's go.
I'm sorry. We could not.
Lots of bite in that one.
That's we could not get through the whole episode. I'm so sorry. Forever right there. All right. Well, thank you so much, both of you, for joining us tonight to talk about this Eastern Conference preview. Thank you, all of you who have joined us tonight as we kick off the MLS Fantasy season. There's going to be more content coming out, but as always, we're going to end with some plugs. So Frip, let's let you plug first.
Follow, the socials. I'm on Twitter at SoRareUSA. I've got usually like transfer updates, injury news once those come out. We'll have CCC, C3. We got C cubed. We got to find like a CCC doesn't sound as like good as CCL.
Triple C.
It sounds
We'll
like
find
you're
something for that one.
literally saying yes in Spanish.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, CCC.
Do you like soccer? CCC.
Yeah.
CCC me gusta.
Yeah. That's
Um,
what it is. Yeah.
So yeah, Vancouver in action soon. Yeah, RSL Miami coming up. Yeah, follow me there. I have some depth charts posted. Highlights incoming players. So if you're playing draft, those usually tend to like be a bit undervalued. So yeah, that's all I got.
There you go. Ashley.
I just want to plug, MLS Fantasy Insider Resources, Discord again. I think it's been so fun to watch this game grow over the past 10 years, and take shape the way it has as a part of the show and as just a player too. So definitely, I encourage anyone who's new to playing or wants to try harder, or maybe didn't finish last season, or is, everyone who's already in Discord is taking it plenty serious. But, everybody else, if you're getting into the game and you want to know where to start, I would start with Discord.
Absolutely.
Apparently, Hani Mukhtar is on Twitch right now streaming FIFA with his
snap.
Nashville MVP guitar.
I love this.
Clean transition from MLSFI.
We're gonna just go straight to that.
Hani
We'll just
Mukhtar
let's bleed
playing
into
FIFA.
that.
And cut.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
Boom.
No.
Just open Twitter.
Upstaging right there. No, for me, I mean, check out, of course, the Discord. It's a fantastic place there. If you used to see us on Reddit, that's not active. People say, hey, redo stuff on Reddit, and it just doesn't happen. Traction's not there.
We're not there yet.
Discord's where that is. MLSFantasyBoss.com for the articles that we have coming out. A lot of our preseason coverage is going to be videos like this, but we are going to have some articles coming out there. A lot of it is pulled from the community just to see what the players in Discord are thinking about and who they're keeping tabs on as well. Patreon.com/MLSFI. That's going to be getting updated as we get a little bit closer to the season, and all the league stuff is going to come out. So keep an eye on your emails. If you are interested in being part of our Pro Rel League, information about that will be coming out as well. Got a lot of the names from last year, a lot of the pre list from last year as well, and of course our patrons have shots at getting involved in this as well. So it may be tough to get into the league now, but we've got like 5 levels of the Pro Rel League. It's wild. People absolutely love it, so I'm stoked that it's been going so well, and there are a lot of changes this year. So thanks so much for listening. We'll be back next Monday with our Western Conference preview with Matt Pollard. It's going to be a good time, but of course, for the first time in 2024, as always, good luck.